Hello everybody, welcome to Nothing Society. This is Logan, back with a video. Now this is the first of videos about trading card games. I got Magic here, I got some Pokemon here, I got all this kind of stuff. So basically what I want to talk about today is something that's been on my mind and something that I'm trying to think about a lot. So I'm just going to make a video about it, see what everybody thinks about my ramblings here about trading card games specifically, and their viability and use in today's game economy world type thing. So right now, from what I can tell, I've been doing a lot of research on the state of collectible card games and card games in general. And from what I can tell is that you have 3 card games that are really big right now. 3 card games that are trading card games that are big. 2 trading card games that are up and coming. And then you've got a ton of homemade trading card games that are not in the mainstream, but there's a viable community there that could become more viable as time goes on. So basically, your top 3, Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Those have always been the top 3. Those probably will be the top 3 for a long time. As much as people cry, Magic is dying, it's not going to die. Even if Wizards of the Coast dies, Hasbro's not going to let that happen. It's one of their biggest revenue sources. Or it can be. Then Pokemon, then Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon is really big right now. Pokemon, actually, at my game store, has a bigger following than Magic, and there's no Yu-Gi-Oh! Presence at my game store. Anyways, and then there's 2 others. There's a, what's the other trading card game that's big? Well, there's a Dragon Ball Super that's getting bigger. Then there's it's a fantasy. It's another fantasy. I just had it in my head, and then I forgot. Anyways, it's gonna kill me now. I'll probably think of it later. Because I was going to say Elder Scrolls, but Elder Scrolls is a digital card game. Then there's another... It's not Elder Scrolls. It is... I'm not going to keep talking about this. You get the point. Everybody's going to be like, oh, this thing in the comments, or not. I don't know. Anyway, so if you're unfamiliar with what a trading card game is... not all my subscribers here are trading card enthusiasts. So basically, it's a game that you have cards. You usually have a deck of cards, for the most part, and each card does something different. It has a different ability, has a different purpose for the game. And so you draw cards at random and from your deck, and you play your cards. So in Magic, you've got, cards that are creatures. It's not going to focus, is it? You've got cards that are creatures. You've got, different spells, different things like that. You have different colors of cards. You have all that kind of stuff. So basically, you take these cards and you combine them into a deck of cards that can go against another person's deck of cards. And each card represents, like a creature or something. And you have a certain amount of life points. You have 20 in Magic. So, and it's the similar for Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! You buy cards, and you make decks with them. Now, the way that you buy the cards is something that is a little different, something that you normally don't think of. It's not, you don't just go to the store and buy a pack of trading cards. Well, you do. I'm sorry, playing cards. You don't go out and buy like a predetermined, I mean you can, but the idea is not that it's not a predetermined set. So you go and you usually buy a predetermined set for your first few decks and stuff, especially now that they have that to get into the game, learn the game. And then you go out and you buy booster packs. This is a used booster pack. It's actually this booster pack right here. And you get a certain amount of cards that you can create decks with. It varies on how many cards between which trading card game you are playing. But, you know, it's meant to expand your collection. And usually these packs are between $5 and $7, depending on where you buy it from and what game you're playing. I'm sure a lot of you know this, but, you know, just bringing people up to speed. Anyways, but that's kind of what I want to talk about, is the blind booster pack idea. You don't know what you're getting in a booster pack. You might get really good cards. You might get really bad cards. You might get a card you've been looking for a long time. Maybe you get a card that you might not know a lot about, but realize, hey, this might work well in my deck. You might get a rare card, like a super rare card, like, you know, something that a lot of people don't have and a lot of people are looking for. Maybe, you know, maybe you spent $5 and you can make like $10 off of one card from that deck and from that pack, I mean. And, you know, you can go on your merry way there. The endless possibilities there with a blind booster pack is what I'm here to talk about. Right now, in the game community, I've been doing a lot of research. I've been making my own game, so I've been doing quite a bit of research, just reading forum sites and about different games and how well games have done in the past and the future, and how people think they're going to go in the future, how they've gone in the past and how they're going on right now. So you've got this kind of general consensus right now among people that trading card games are dead. There's never going to be a trading card game that's going to be successful ever again, according to these people. I don't know. I mean, I see why. Okay, so if you look at the trends, and I remember this in the early 2000s when I was into Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all that. So you had these games that were coming out like crazy. There was just a big blast of games in the early 2000s. I remember off the top of my head, let's see, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's see, and then there was Chaotic, Bakugan, there's a couple of others too that I'm thinking of in there. I can like see them in my head, I can't remember the names. Of things that had trading card games, or something very similar to a trading card game. You know, some sort of toy that used cards, or some sort of blind booster idea. Some like these different games, and my friends played a lot of these games. I played Bakugan for a little bit. I remember I had some Bakugan things. My friend gave me a couple because they were like really basic ones, and he's like, "Here, play," and here you can have this. And I have it somewhere around here. I don't know where it is, but one thing that always captivated me. I played Pokemon somewhat competitively. I wasn't very competitive, like. I wasn't that good, but I digress. I loved Pokemon. I loved playing Pokemon. I was terrible at the game, but why did I love playing Pokemon? Why did I go every week to my game store to play Pokemon? Why did I make my parents drag me to the store to play Pokemon? And they had to sit there while I played Pokemon while they did not care at all, right? Why did I do that? Because of the meta game. Now, I didn't know what that was called back in the day, and I didn't make the mental connection to that. But it was because of the meta game. Now, that's something I've always been fascinated with about video games. The meta game. The game within, like, the game outside of the game. The social aspects of the game. The intricacies of the game. And, like, the separate parts of a game. So, I've always been very interested in simulation games, or games that try to replicate something, or virtual worlds and stuff. I grew up playing Toontown, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Civilization. Those are the 3 games that kind of built my gaming perception, along with watching my dad play World of Warcraft. So I've always had this idea, and the thing that I always loved about World of Warcraft was the auction house. I would tell my dad, let's go to the auction house. He's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I just like watching the numbers and people buying stuff, and, it's eBay in a game, and the game items, and this concept of, I have a thing, this person has another thing that I want. I'm going to trade in-game currency. We're going to exchange things in the game that matter only to the game. And it's going to be cool. It fascinated me. So, how does this tie back to trading card games? Well, it's what made me love Pokemon so much. And Yu-Gi-Oh! And now Magic and all that. It's the meta game. It's the game around the game. It's the trading. It's the news. Like, I that sounds kind of weird, but like the idea of me sitting here going, this set's coming out, these cards, blah blah blah, rarity, like talking about rarity, or like I was reading, somebody got a pack of Magic cards. At a tournament or something like that, of like some unlimited, and which was the first set. And they pulled a Black Lotus, which is, something that's a card that is really expensive now. It's one of the greatest cards. Well, not necessarily the greatest, but it is the most well-known card in the game of Magic. So, how does this get back to... I don't know why I'm saying that, because I'm in it right now. So, the meta game, you have this, this aspect of, people can, write about this game, and it's journalism. And then you've got people who can trade things for game things, for real money, and people's real lives are affected by it. And that fascinates me. I used to watch Pokemon, like the TV show. I played the DS game a little bit later. DS games. I played one of them. And Game Boy games. I played a lot of the Game Boy games. But the thing that the Pokemon trading card game did very well, that kept me in it, was, alright, here's this world that we've established in these video games and these, in the show. Here's the world. Now, you can't live in that world, specifically, but maybe you can. Do we got a game for you? And then they pull out these Pokemon cards, and then they're like, hey, look, here's your Pokemon. And, here's your different, things that you can do. You can go to a place, and we're going to call it a gym. We're going to call the guy who runs it a gym leader. You're going to be able to go. You're going to be able to compete. Play against other people. Learn about Pokemon. Get, free cards and, all this kind of stuff. And, buy the packs together and play, tournaments and all that kind of stuff. Let's do that. And it is the coolest thing to to a little kid, an elementary school kid, who spends a lot of time watching the TV show of Pokemon. Turns around and says, I can live in that world? I can live there? I live in that world? Which is what disappointed me with Pokemon Go, which I can talk about some other time. But anyways, so you have, this kind of discovery aspect and this metagame aspect to the game that, you're building decks and you're, building strategies, and it's apart from the actual physical game. There's a push right now. There's a push. And I can see why this push is happening, but I think it's dumb. There's a push for a type of card game that is commonly called the living card game, LCG, instead of trading card game, TCG. I can see why. I can see why. I know. I get it. I get your point, people. Because paying for card packs every so often and new sets and pre-releases and all that can get pretty tedious, and why don't we just buy it like a board game? Here's why you don't buy it like a board game. Okay? I get it. But, so for any of you that don't know what a living card game is you buy the cards, you buy the game, and it's a box, and you get the game. By the game, I mean every card in the set. Well, almost every card in the set. And you get them, and then you make your deck, then you play with your deck. And then an expansion comes out, and you buy the cards in the expansion. Then you edit your deck, then you play your deck. My issue with that is that it takes a lot away from the trading card game. It takes a lot away from what made the card games fun for me. What made the card games fun for me wasn't necessarily the game. The game was fun. The Pokemon, fun game. But what kept me going back was the discovery, was the almost role-playing that gives it a feeling of I'm doing something in real life that's a game, but it also affects things, and I'm discovering things. And one of my favorite memories ever is sitting, this kid at school had a rare Pokemon card, right? And he, boasted that he had this Pokemon card. Well, my friend also had that card, and it went missing. And I was like, hey dude, I want to battle you in the comments tomorrow. And it was all like, oh, like, people were like, oh. Well, come the next day, I bring my deck, he brings his deck. We go in the comments. Here comes everyone in the school. When I say everyone in the school, I don't mean a bunch of people showed up. No, I mean, like, all of the kids in the school. It was, the teachers were like, what's going on over here? Some of them thought it was a fight, I think. I'm pretty sure. I might be misremembering that. But let me tell you, it was a fight. It was a fight with Pokemon cards. We brought our decks. He wouldn't let me cut his deck. He would not let me cut his deck. Which was disheartening. I beat him. By the way, for the record. He wasn't a very good Pokemon player. He had rare cards, he just didn't know how to use them. But where he got those rare cards... Yeah. Anyway. So, with a living card game, you don't get that. You don't get that kind of trainer aspect to it, like that, I'm a Pokemon trainer and I'm, training my game up, and you don't get that with a living card game. You only get that with a trading card game. You get this kind of real life aspect, this meta game that, fuels rivalries on the school playgrounds everywhere. But I don't understand it. I think that trading card games have a very interesting place in society that we haven't even tapped yet. Which is what... I'll get into Pokemon Go. Here's what angered me about Pokemon Go. It could have been a trading card game. Not an actual trading card game, but it could have been what I'm talking about. Okay, so you have this game, right? You have this game that is about the world, right? That's what it's about. It's a geo game. It's about everything in the world. It's about going outside and discovering things. People go outside? Yeah, this is pretty cool. Catch some Pokemon? Yeah, I got the rare ones and blah, blah, blah. Okay. I did that for so long. It became repetitive. My dad and I went out once to play some Pokemon Go. I was into Pokemon at the time. I stopped caring really quickly. Why? Because there was nothing to keep me there. There was no metagame. Well, there was a metagame, but it was very poorly designed metagame. You have to design your metagame. So, if you look at it, if you look at Pokemon Go, there was no battle system. There was very little competition. There was no incentive to go out and catch them all. In the show, why does Ash Ketchum going to catch them all? Because he wants to be the best Pokemon trainer. Right? I don't know why I keep going back to Pokemon, because I don't play Pokemon anymore. But it gives this example quite well. Especially for a kid. A kid with an imagination. But, with Magic, you have a little bit of a different metagame. You have a more aware metagame. They're not pretending that they're mages fighting against each other. But it's still different. It's still a discovery aspect. Like, I'm going to make my deck better, so let's buy some booster packs. Or the boxes or whatever. There's a little bit more money that goes into it, definitely. There's a little bit, it's for an older audience, and it's a little more aware of itself. Which is what makes Magic a little bit interesting. But, this untapped potential with trading card games really makes me curious. There was a game. A lot of people don't know about this game. I just read about it today. It was called Battle Cards. Came out a few months. It was by Steve Jackson Games, and it came out a few months before Magic the Gathering. The difference between Battle Cards and Magic the Gathering is that Battle Cards had no deck. Battle Cards, instead of somebody sitting there and saying, because Magic was kind of like, hey, we have this game, how can we make it more interesting? Ooh, let's make it trading. Let's make it a trading card game. That's interesting about how it was thought, because this game was thought of, how can we make trading cards interactive? And it came out before Magic, so it wasn't based off of Magic or anything like it. So, you had these cards that, you had these, the certain game to battle with these cards. You'd scratch off something, and you scratch them off, and whoever got to the, random thing, random, dead symbol first died, And what you would do, so that card was gone now. That card was used, not really collectible. So what you would, it's a trading card game, not necessarily a collectible card game. The idea of it was, let's create trading cards that turned the real world into a role-playing game. Let's make LARPing real, kind of thing. So a lot of things were represented by these cards. So you'd have these, you'd scratch off the cards, and and you'd battle them. You'd battle your opponent. There was no deck, so you'd just scratch them off, and then whoever lost, you'd give that card to the other person. The other person would. So in the packs that you would buy, the booster packs, there would be a quest card. There would be multiple quest cards, and you'd take the quest card, and it would have instructions on it. You need this many like dead warriors or whatever. This many other cards that came in the packs, and this like rare card or something, and you'd put them in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and send it to the publisher. The publisher would then send back a rare card, like a foil card or something like that, and that interests me. It's flawed, I know, and it didn't catch on, and it's very obvious why it didn't catch on. It was too specific. And it was too light. But think about this. Think about the idea. Think about what it was going for. What was it going for? It was going for role-playing in real life. Role-playing games in real life. Let's do Dungeons and Dragons in real life. Right? A little less dumb than... I don't want to say dumb, but like... A little less like, like LARPing. Like where we're going out with our, foam swords. I mean, it has its place. I'm not saying it's dumb, but we don't do it all day. But what if there was a game that was simple enough and interesting enough to people, and had an incentive enough for people to collect these cards, or whatever, or collect whatever, that everybody knew how to play it. A lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people knew how to play it. It was easy to obtain, easy to pick up, easy to do, and easy to trade. And you could trade them, and it would be life. I don't know. It's just interesting to me. The whole entire idea of a card game, or a game, being a big part of a lot of people's lives. A good chunk of people's lives. I don't know. It's just something to think about. Well, this has been my 27-minute rant about my thoughts all day. Expect more content like this in the future. Thank you. Thank you all. Make sure you subscribe to the Nothing Society. I'm Logan. And I'm going to have some Magic videos. I'm working on a card game right now. And, yeah, talk to you all later.